set. This is our Christmas show. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. It's 5:30 p.m. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Join us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Reggie.
Okay, Trustee Winslow,
Present.
Trustee Kidda,
Here.
Trustee Leighton,
Here.
Trustee Everson,
Here.
Treasurer Rickauer,
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas, our Attorney Roger Zappa, our Finance Director Kim Clark is here, our Planner Zoning Administrator Jason McCarthy is here. Our Superintendent of Public Works, Lenny Bodinas, is on Zoom, and our Executive Assistant, HR Clerk and Treasurer, Michelle Schroeder, is also on Zoom.
I'll show you this first so I can put it down. I'm sure John can zoom in. This is a thank you we got, and I'm guessing it came from your group? Did it? Whose hands are those?
Those are the kids that had the tags on the picture.
Excellent, so that's what I was hoping. So we had a giving tree here, and I believe everything was picked up today.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone, so I think today was the end date. But it says, "We are truly grateful for your generosity. Because of you, many families will enjoy a brighter, more joyful Christmas." I thought we better share that. That's pretty cool. That'll be in the lobby. And then I also got a card, or we got a card, it's addressed to the board members, from the Superior Land Duplicate Bridge Club in Marquette. And it says, "We want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your support in adjusting the Township Hall rental fee. Our entire Bridge Club is very pleased that our tournament will continue to be played at the Township Hall. Your venue is a most enjoyable, welcoming, and functional site. Please know that your time and efforts are very much appreciated. Thank you," with exclamation points, to Paul Benetti and Mary Lou Morrow? I can't
Marsh,
read it.
Mary Lou Marsh.
Okay, can't read it. So that's pretty nice. We put that in the office too. Anything else from the public? Any emails? Okay. Anybody wish to address the board before we get started? Okay, consent agenda. Tonight consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of December 3rd, 2025. Bills payable in the amount of $287,773.16. We have the Marquette County Road Commission Supervisor Relations meeting from December 4th. I put the whole packet in because they usually do a year-end presentation. I thought it'd be kind of interesting. And the Sheriff's Department activity report from November. I also put the abbreviated packet in for the solid waste meeting that just occurred at 4 o'clock. I'll update you on that. And we have the board and committee meeting schedule, November 2025 financial statements, and a budget amendment for 2025-04. Oh, we've only had 4 this year. That's great. So you'll have to do a roll call vote.
Yes, I'll make a,
That we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. Go ahead then.
The only thing I'll say before I do roll call is that the Planning Commission decided to have their meetings at 6 o'clock on the Wednesdays. And as of now, there's no November meeting scheduled. So they'll have no November meeting and then 1 December meeting, and I guess they can call a special meeting if they need it. But so Planning Commission, instead of 7, will be at 6 starting next year. So roll call vote. Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Okay.
You're saying my name, I'm sorry.
Clerk, should we read the details of the
Yeah,
amendment?
I can do that quickly here. Well, I don't have to read it because I'm going to paste it into the minutes
Okay.
anyway, because my voice is hoarse tonight, so I'm going to save it as much as possible. Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Winslow.
Yes.
Trustee Kidda.
Yes.
Trustee Leighton.
Yes.
Treasurer Rickower.
Yes.
Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, then we just need approval of the rest of the agenda.
So move as presented.
Support. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. You don't have a library report tonight,
No,
right? Okay.
I think he said the meeting was later than this meeting, so, or something, so he'll be back in January, so we'll move that to January.
Okay. Fire department. Fire department.
He got his written report in the packet.
Yep, he did. We were gonna look into a board committee for staffing. Is that next year, or is Dan gonna come head that up, or you, or?
I'm not sure where he's at in putting the background together. I know there's definitely concerns regarding staffing in that department. They're getting stretched pretty thin. Keeping EMTs on staff, especially for the paid-on-call hours, is becoming a challenge. So there definitely has to be a conversation about it, and then public presentation of the findings to determine what we can and can't do. The challenge really revolves around running an ambulance. So that's what we have to sort through.
Okay. So next year, we'll look at it in January, or
I would
however
say
long it
as
takes.
early in the year as we can get started on that, it would be appropriate, yes.
Put this info together. Okay, sounds good. Okay, we do have Lenny, so we can do his report.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, you guys kind of caught me by surprise. I had to go hurry up and find it because it went by pretty quick here. So, anyhow, we can start with wastewater here. Of course, we always are doing our routine grinder pump repairs and replacements. That's kind of an ongoing thing. We usually get a couple every week. That'll just be something that we'll be doing forever. We've also made some additional adjustments to our Bancroft Street lift station generator. We had some problems with the antifreeze. There was a sensor in it and it had to be adjusted a little bit. So what was happening was the generator wasn't coming on its test cycle. We were able to get out there and figure that out. So now the generator will start up when the power goes out. We've also done some grease removal from our lift stations and lift station wet wells. This improves our efficiency and reduces the risk of blockages and the pumps getting plugged up. We still have ongoing maintenance of manhole castings and lids. So as plowing season comes, sometimes they tend to get hit and broke or kind of move off the casting. So we're kind of keeping up on that. We'll drive around and look, especially after a good snow, and see if some of those have gotten dislodged. On the water side, routine water sampling continues. The results pretty much confirm that our system meets or exceeds Eagle standards. So we have some good water, and all of our samples are proving that. Staff had responded to customer concerns, including high water usage and high pressure. So that's kind of an ongoing thing that we do. We get a few of those every week. So we'll go out there and investigate it and see if there's any problem, and then reassure the customer that if there is a problem, we're going to get it fixed, or kind of tell them, this is normal. So we do investigate almost every report that we get. Our staff achievements, we had a couple service workers pass their certification exam. So Chad Chapman successfully passed the S4 water certification, and service worker Rick Rattari successfully passed the D4 limited treatment certificate. So both of them are now certified in new levels. So that's good. We really try to push certification in our department, and that kind of proves or tries to keep up on our I don't know what the word I'm looking for. We try to keep up on everything. We try to make sure everybody's well trained and well certified and credentialed. And our bond process is proceeding. So we did send some information to an attorney, and they are working on some of our draft agreements, and we hope to have them by late January or early February. Building and grounds, the temporary repair that we had made on the community room on the backside where the kitchen's at, that is performing well. It still has to be properly fixed next year in the spring, but we pretty much we're an advertisement for Flex Seal. We have a lot of Flex Seal up there, but I know it sounds kind of funny, but it actually is working. So we'll make repairs to that as needed until we can get a more proper job done on it in the spring and everything repaired properly. And the ice rink, now today it's not, but in general the ice rink is now open. It's going to probably be closed for another day or two here. If we get the warm weather, kind of really tears it up and makes the ice soft. So we'll have the rink closed. The revised closing time is 9 p.m. So that's before the warm-up shack was closed at 7. We are actually closing that at 9. The lights actually go out probably around 8:45, just before 9. And we'll try to monitor that. So if people are out on the rink, up until that time, we'll remind them that everything's closing. That's pretty much all I have.
I got a comment, Lenny. It's good about these certifications because in the sewer department, there's certifications that are coming that we learned at our last conference for our service workers. So that's one more thing they have to do and keep up continuing education credits once they get certified. And on the water side, it's great when you can get those certifications because if you have a problem or an emergency, Eagle really looks at that if you have certified operators, working on the system, because if you don't, your fines could be a lot more money. So.
And everyone in our department is now certified. So we have a full staff of service workers that have one or more water licenses.
Great.
How are we doing on, well, you said the rink was closed, but is it working okay to kind of keep it up the way you've been doing it? Just by hand, basically?
Yeah, everything is working. We ordered, and it should be in probably this week. It's an ice resurfacer, but it's a hand pulled one that you hook a hose up to. We watched some examples online, and it looks like it works pretty good. And it should work good for our type of rink that we have there. We did investigate some other options, but they are pretty expensive. So from what we could see, this should work, and maybe with even the broom attachment that we have on the tractor that we have, we should be able to keep everything pretty smooth there.
Awesome. John?
I just wanted to add one thing regarding the ice rink, and it kind of falls right in line with the issues we have with pickleball, and that's noise. We didn't think we'd have much of a problem with noise there because the lights turn off at night and it gets dark, but that ice rink is pretty popular, and I think the hockey players have developed night vision because they've been continuing to play. And I wanted to say thank you to the sheriff's department for responding a few times to noise complaints out there well after 9 o'clock. I think Lenny's crew is probably going to have it handled with them going and locking up at 9 o'clock. They can send everyone on their way, but that's not to say we won't need their assistance again if something goes haywire, if we get uncooperative participants or whatever.
No, we don't have those, do we? They're not township residents.
What can you say about telling kids they gotta quit playing, right?
Well, I do know that the city has ice rinks and the lights are on till 11 in those, so that you can just move them on to the city ice rink till 11.
The biggest issue is the neighbors are so close on either end of Lions Park, so, the east side it's pickleball, the west side it's the ice rink, and at some point people wanna have peace and quiet, and maintaining that balance is the key. So, the rec committee was supposed to weigh in on this yesterday, but they weren't going to have a quorum, so, hopefully January they'll tackle it again.
Any questions for Lynn? Okay, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Planning department. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, good evening.
Appreciate it.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. So we only had one planning commission meeting in November, so there's nothing further to update based on the last meeting that I talked to you about, because that meeting was previous to the last board meeting. So the meeting on December 10th, the planning commission approved a short-term rental at 1953 Norwood Street. That is a new build, so the approval was contingent upon obviously completing the project and occupancy there. And then we've continued to wrestle with, I say wrestle because it is a wrestling match, zoning language amendments that would address wetlands that that the state doesn't already address. And so Planner Powers has been working with the Planning Commission on the details of that. Discussion's ongoing, but it's getting a little bit narrower on what the scope of that work will be. And we'll continue to consult with Attorney Zappa on those provisions as they move forward. I will say, and Attorney Zappa provides legal reviews on things to make sure they're constitutional. But one thing I guess I'd like to prime the board on is that we understand and everybody supports sustainability, environmental protections and the like, but some of the concerns that staff has is the ability to administer some of the things that the Planning Commission has proposed, as well as, we're in the middle of what you can consider a housing crisis, okay? So if you're going to require home builders, or if you want to put up a fence and all of a sudden you have to have a wetland survey or a delineation, this building would not have been able to be built because it's too close based on the draft language that we're looking at to a wetland. The fire hall is the same way. The short-term rental and new home that's being built on Norwood would not have been able to be built because of if those provisions were enacted. So one thing I just want to express to you now, because ultimately you are the only ones that can amend the zoning ordinance, is to be aware of that and to obviously when it comes to that, and if any of that language moves forward, I'll be presenting that to you. But just be aware of the practicality. I mean, there's the intent of the ordinance and the language, and then there's the practicality of application. And so I ask that you be considerate of that when it comes to you. Thank you. One of the goals that I had this year was to complete the master plan draft by the end of the year. I think we're going to slide in just under the new year with a draft. So that's a major project for us, and the Planning Commission hopefully will be looking at a draft of that in January. And they will look at that draft for completeness and the level of detail that's involved, and then they will send it up to you. And then if you're okay with it, it'll go out for a mandatory 63-day review period. And that's to let, all of these long-term plans, of course, are predicated upon public input. And so once that 63-day window has expired, then the Planning Commission can have a public hearing to adopt it. And then hopefully we're rolling with the new plan, and then we start working on the zoning ordinance to kind of align with the new master plan sometime in spring. So we're hoping to be adopted by April. We've added a new section to the master plan under this iteration, and that is called future considerations. So there's a couple things at play. One is the fact that there's some pending legislation that we've been made aware of that could potentially assist us with accelerating housing construction and or rehabilitation. We want to make sure that our master plan aligns with that. And then there's a potential for us to become a redevelopment ready community. And all of that just means that there may be grant monies out there for us to help supplement some of the housing that's going on or that needs to go on in our community. And then the other one is, you've probably heard some rumblings about it, but data centers, not date centers as it says on there. We don't need any more dating centers. Those are called bars, I think. But yeah, data centers. So these, you use ChatGPT or AI. Every keystroke you put in, it's a bottle of water, they say. So they use a lot of energy and they use a lot of water. They need northern climates because they can help stay cool. That's the whole deal, is to help a large facility like that stay cool. And so our area, the Midwest, is ripe for that type of development. Fortunately, most of the development proposals have been downstate, to my knowledge, but it's something that we need to be aware of and plan for. So we're looking at future considerations, and we'll lump some of those things that aren't imminent, but that we see on the horizon that could come up as issues and opportunities moving forward. Planner Powers has distributed the township business license applications for 2026. And then as a footnote, we put in a reminder to our business community to place legible addresses on their buildings for general information and emergency service responses. So that's just to help the fire department with their needs and to meet the fire code requirements.
Do you know how many we had? How many licenses?
Typically annually it's about 250, give or take. We also commenced on a zoning violation case on 1913 Wright Street that involves unlicensed vehicle sale activity, commercial activity conducted in a residential zoning district, illegal home occupation, outdoor storage and display of vehicles. We've received a number of complaints over the years, and I contacted the state agency that regulates dealer licenses and found out that this person's selling a significant number of vehicles per year and does not have a dealer's license, let alone a home occupation permit. So we'll see where that goes, but we sent out the first letter this week asking to come into compliance with our zoning ordinance. We approved a new updated internal signage scheme for Culver's. So Culver's in 2026 will be adding an additional drive-through lane, relocating their dumpster enclosure further to the south, and just reconfiguring the driveway. So obviously they're a busy place, they want to do more business through the drive-through, and so they're doing some minor adjustments there. I also contacted, at the request of the Planning Commission, the North Iron Church. As you know, historically, since probably the mid-'80s, the driveway that extends on the other side of Warner off of Commerce has been closed. It should be known, and hopefully the public knows, that is a private drive now, and it is, that site is under construction. They've had some problems with trespassing and some nefarious behavior, and so they elected to close it. I did have a nice conversation with the main pastor, and he indicated that they are anticipating opening for church services in February of 2026, and at that time they would reopen the drive. So I'll continue to monitor that for you and provide you any updates as they come. And then, of course, throughout the month we respond to numerous calls and inquiries about zoning and this and that. So that's my report for the month, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
The wetlands discussion was pretty comprehensive at the meeting. It took quite a lot of back and forth, which was great. And the recommendation is 75-foot setback, and the conversation about the delineation report was extensive, going back and forth on the importance of that. And for my mind, I couldn't figure out what 75 feet was, because I don't have that frame of reference. So I measured my house. It's a 3-bedroom ranch, and with the garage, that's about 75 feet, or actually it'd be a little bit more. So, to your point, and staff's point, trying to put in more houses and having that kind of a restriction, I thought was pretty heavy. I did speak in public comment personally and said I thought that was excessive, because basically you've got to have another property in between the property, because if it's big enough to handle a three-bedroom ranch home, that's a huge setback that you have no place to build, which is kind of what you were saying here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I suggested, I don't know, 25, 35, whatever, you guys could come up with, but my point was that 75 is pretty extensive.
Yeah, the current language, or what was proposed by Commissioner Ferraro, and he's done an enormous amount of work on this, and I really appreciate it. I guess the problem in practicality that I have is that if you come in for a Menard's shed and want to put it on your property, there's a question about whether or not that's a wetland based on the wetland maps, or now because the language that was proposed to us says any site plan or plot plan, well, a shed or a garage or any accessory structure requires a plot plan because you have to demonstrate that you're meeting our minimum setback requirements. As such, that would trigger perhaps a wetland delineation, and those can cost anywhere from $1,000 to, depending upon how large your property is, could be up to $2,000 or $3,000. And then, you know, so I've spent going on 15 years here trying to cut through red tape for our people, whether it's commercial development or residential development. And so now a 35-foot or $35 shed fence that could be issued on a Friday afternoon because we have good customer service that way, now turns into, well, I can't prove that now because you have to go get a wetland delineation. I'm just saying the practicality of that is challenging, and I'm not opposed to protecting wetlands. I think that there are provisions already that address that. What the Planning Commission is aiming for is to align a wetland with a river, a navigable stream, or an inland lake or Lake Superior. We already have a 75-foot setback from the ordinary high water mark in those instances. But maybe we could come up with something that's a little bit less that wouldn't require the scrutiny that is being proposed. So, you know, like everything, you know, the Planning Commission wants to start up here. Staff's kind of like, well, you know, maybe this would work better. And so hopefully we'll end up somewhere in the middle and have something that's easy to administer, but still has some additional protections for those wetlands. So, yeah, we're not opposed at all. In fact, you know, I think it's advisable. There's a gap in what the state, you know, administers and what we administer. Of course, there are county provisions as well. You know, when you go to build something, typically you get a soil erosion and sediment control permit from the county. And through that process alone, I think you have to demonstrate that you're not nobody's going to build in a wetland. I mean, you know, you're not going to build on quicksand. So there's just some common sense stuff that I hope gets flushed out of that.
Well, and the hard part is, Michigan is a swamp, and so is Minnesota, you know, I mean, there's just, and Trowbridge is a challenge.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the default is wetland, prove that it isn't,
Right.
which is
But what if a wetland crosses a property boundary? Now you have two properties that are impacted. So there's just a number of things, and kudos to Planner Powers for pushing through this stuff and really, you know, through our discussions, coming up with some practical difficulties that we realize just through everyday permitting process. So we'll sort it out. We'll get it to a point where we feel comfortable bringing it to a public hearing, and then ultimately, based on that recommendation, when it comes to the board for ratification.
good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it will come to them, so
Yep.
now they've got some history. Any questions for Jace? Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Have a good holiday. Thank you.
You too. Okay, attorney report.
Well, some of the things that crossed my desk since last month when I reported to the last were, we did receive one of the agenda items later that you'll be dealing with tonight regarding the Renovari purchase agreement extension. I was involved in reviewing the Planning Commission recommendation on the wetlands, and I sent back a multi-page opinion on that, and they're working on addressing some of the issues and concerns that I pointed out in that. An interpretational question arose on the assessor's contract that we had some discussion on. There've been a couple of FOIA exemption questions that have arisen in the last month. And we had a fire department employment issue that recently came up. And there's been a little bit of development on the 760 Lake Enchantment Road matter, and I'm just not sure where that's headed. And as the zoning administrator mentioned, I was aware that they are pursuing potential action against the 1913 Wright Street property as well. At this point, it's no citation has been issued or authorized, but looking to have the potential violations just voluntarily addressed and fixed. I'm probably overlooking a thing or two, but those are the things that came to mind as I was jotting down some notes just prior to the meeting.
He did also participate in the wetland discussion too.
Any questions for Roger? Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, community linkage, a few things to share with you. The solid waste meeting just happened before that my husband gave me a external microphone, speaker, so I heard everything. It was really nice. That really helped. But one of the questions that came up was recycling financials. So I had already requested a report from Christopher, their accountant. And so I printed that and I ended up forwarding it to the gentleman who made the question. But he was worried that year-to-date they're $100,000 short on recycling. And I just wanted to point out to him that 74% of the expense for recycling is payroll. So they're actually doing really well with almost 1.1 million in revenue, but 760,000 of that is payroll. So it's just a dynamic that most people don't think about. As Jason mentioned, we've got to remind everybody about clearing off their mailboxes, making sure your street numbers, your house number is seeable. Sometimes you've got the numbers in light posts outside, make sure they're brushed off. If you don't have them on your house or your garage, that's really a great idea when spring comes and you can get to the home builders store and get some numbers. One of the reasons I mentioned that is because at last night's county meeting, they approved the wildfire protection plan for the county. And the gentleman spoke rather quickly and I couldn't see the screen well enough, but he said that the county is 80% forested. That, I know we have a lot of trees, but that was amazing. And he said the biggest problem with wildfires is the long driveways, bad signage with street numbers or house numbers, and the water supply that's nearby, because so many of our homes in the woods are way in the woods. So I thought that was pretty applicable for tonight. He said the worst spots are in the Sands Plains, which you can imagine because it's just all trees. The Dead River Basin because of the tourism and the vacation homes. The 581 corridor and the Republic, Humboldt, Ely, and Powell townships. Again, because they're the most wooded, but that was pretty interesting, I thought. Glenn Johnson from the Aranor Heritage Trail will be here on the 7th, so that's on the next agenda. They're asking, he preemptively asked, what projects for the Heritage Trail or along the Heritage Trail would the township like to see? So I'd like you to think about that and maybe we can have a good conversation on the 7th when he comes. The director was asking all of the townships, what would you like to see? So you know how to either go out for more grants or if they have to buy materials or whatever, they'd like to know ahead of time. So anybody that has any ideas, that would be helpful for the 7th. Ken Ullman, who is the president of North Country that we deal with for our trash, was appointed last night by the county to take the empty seat at the Materials Management Committee in Escanaba. So I forwarded the Zoom link to him. We'll do a Zoom tomorrow at 3, and then probably have to drive down there January or February. But I did ask the committee for the last meeting if we could have the meeting like at noon or 1 o'clock so that we're not driving back in a snowstorm at 6 o'clock at night. So we'll probably do that. So it'll be a little bit easier. The assessor forum, we're going to do another one tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The December Board of Review was last week. We did well. We only had 6 things to change. That went really well. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's all I have. Are you hearing anything from the public? Anybody those are the folks that'll be coming and when. So we've got partnership, Experience Community Partnership, Travel Marquette, Peter White Public Library, the Iron Ore Heritage Rec Authority, the No Cayman Trail, Marquette Area Public Schools, Senior Services, Marquette County Conservation District, the Sheriff's Office, and Upset, UP Substance Enforcement Team. So those are the folks that are gonna come and speak to us next year. I wanted to make sure you had that calendar.
So Lynn, is there a way that we can offer so there aren't two on the same night? So could we offer the Peter White Public Library to come the second Wednesday or the third Wednesday in February? I mean, if people are willing to kind of move around?
These are their dates that they requested because of either maybe their budget year or,
Well, it's just hard.
But yeah, I
If
can
you have
ask.
two people, I mean, two people on the same day, that's hard.
yeah, it's late.
So maybe we could just ask
I'll
them.
ask them, yeah.
Yeah,
But these are the dates that they gave me that works for them. But, yep, I will do that.
thank you.
Okay, and then I also put in the committee seats that are open for starting January 1st. We've got 2 planning commission seats for a 3-year term ending December 31st and 28. Recreation committee opening, two openings, pardon me. Zoning Board of Appeals, 2 seats, and I did not put on the alternate position, so there's actually 3. I would love to have an alternate, but ZBA, remember, meets infrequently, maybe once a year, twice a year, could be 3 times if there's something going on, but they rarely meet, so if somebody just wants to kind of be involved with township stuff, might be a good committee to start with, if you thought you might want to volunteer. So I did want to point those out, and even though the sitting committee members might be interested in continuing to carry that seat, they do have to reapply. And then I will make my recommendations to the board at the January 7th meeting. Any questions on that? Kind of rattle that quickly, get us through the agenda here. Okay, consider Fishback proposal for updated water asset management and capital improvement plans. Lenny is back.
Yep. So this is a plan that we asked Fishbeck to do for us. This is going to be part of the bond process, although it is also required by Eagle to get at least a rate study every 5 years. So they're also going to do a capital improvement plan for us as well. So this is something, I think the last one we had done was probably around 2020 or 2021, and it wasn't really a rate study, but it kind of included it. So this is something that we are going to need, and it's also going to help give us some good information and data going forward. So this would be for a lump sum of $29,800.
Okay, pleasure board? Questions?
Motion to approve up to the 29,800.
Support.
I have to make one adjustment. I put 590, it should be 591 for water.
Okay.
He's referring to the account number.
Yep,
Anything else?
sorry about that. Nope, just that.
Okay, any questions? Anything, John, to add? Because you're kind of involved in this too.
This has been probably needed since before I came. We did sort of our own asset management plan for the water system, and you may recall, going back to the first priorities work session that I was involved in, it's still on the list. Asset management, it's number 1 for Public Works. We had a full-blown wastewater asset management plan done with a SAW grant. We never got grant money for the water asset management plan, so I did it in I finished it in my first month here, and I can tell you I'm not proud of that work. This would give us a proper plan and a CIP that hopefully will recognize the priorities that we know we already have. Not trying to put words in anyone's mouth, but we know that booster stations need upgrades if we're going to provide city water to the entire system.
Doesn't hurt to have municipal guys to go get stuff doing. Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Thanks.
Thanks, Lenny. Okay, next up is to consider proposals for financial audit services. Those to you, or do you want to?
I can take it. Every 3 years, we go out, we send out an RFP for audit services, and we've been with the same auditing firm longer than I've been here. And I'd say we've had good service, reliable for the most part, and it's just worked out every year that they were also the low bid. In this particular case, they were not the low bid. We have a new firm that has established a presence in the UP that does municipal auditing. And I don't know if it's their price showing that they're eager to get their foot more involved in the UP as far as municipal auditing goes, but from a cost perspective, I think changing is not necessarily a bad thing either, because you get a completely different set of eyes on the books. Maybe they catch something that had been missed before, whatever happens, and they also come recommended by current municipalities that firm serves.
They have an office in Marquette too.
They do, on Bluff Street in Marquette.
They do good work. They do a lot, I know they do a lot of auditing and just working with the nonprofit sector. New company, but they, local personnel has been around for a long time.
I'll make the motion. Sorry, good question. No, I was just gonna make the motion.
Okay, AHP Marquette, and for the cost of $18,750 to $20,250 for 3 years.
Support.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consider right of first priority venture drive.
Are you ready for fireworks? The recommended motion in the packet is to waive the right of first priority on this right-of-way abandonment, because that's the intention. It's to allow the Michigan Veteran Homes to build their new Jacob Eddy Home for Veterans right up the hill here. But you may recall, if you were here in November last year, November 6th, a motion was made by Trustee Kidda, supported by Trustee Marks, to support that abandonment with 8 conditions. The very first condition is not met with the plan that they have gone forward with. And basically what happened is they rejected that condition. And that is the safe routes to school has been eliminated from that roundabout all the way over to Wright Street, and it's replaced with a sidewalk across their property. I'm not sure how we're going to maintain a sidewalk with our current equipment, much less on state-owned property, which is considered private to me because we don't own it, or it's not public right-of-way. And I have concerns about that. So while waiving that right of first priority ultimately makes sense, this is your last chance to maybe try to exert any bit of influence you may have on the state. Because the state didn't have to get approval from us for anything. And I think we all agree that we're happy to have this new veteran home being built in the township. But it's at the expense of a project that this township went through great effort to achieve that's now being somewhat undone. So, it's political, right? It's the only leverage you have, and I don't think you're ever going to get what we asked for, because it would be very expensive at this point. Just beyond the end of the shoulder, you go into the foreslope of drainage ditches on both sides of the road. To widen that roadway, wide enough to put an 8 to 10 foot wide pathway next to it with curb and gutter, they would have to move a whole bunch of dirt to do that. And there's some wetlands, speaking of wetlands, on the west end that would end up having to be boardwalk or something. So from a cost perspective, we're probably never going to get what we want. We don't hear from them anymore because they're in the middle of construction of their site that they worked with our fire department to make sure that their trucks, if they ever had to go in, could get turned around and get back out, which was good. But and they worked with Lenny on water and wastewater. But anything else site related, we have no control over. And I'm a little concerned if they're going to expect us to keep that sidewalk clear of snow all winter, how we're going to do that. Walk behind snow blower for a half a mile or a quarter mile of trail sidewalk. I'm not so confident that that's the best use of our staff's time or the best equipment for the maintenance. So,
Could you explain a little bit more about foot traffic
foot and bicycle.
and bicycle?
Yep.
So could they do an elevated bridge across there? If it's just foot traffic and bicycle?
They could. It would have to be some sort of boardwalk or whatever. But even getting to that point is going to be a six-figure project at least. I don't think they have the resources to do it, or they would have voluntarily done it in the first place instead of ignoring our request and going to the Safe Routes to School program at the state and getting an exemption, which is what they did. They would have built it the way we asked if it was within the limits of their funding, I'm sure, or is my guess. So, I stand by my original recommendation, but you'd need to be aware that the moment you waive your right of first priority for that right-of-way to be abandoned, we have no leverage on that safe route to school beyond the west of the roundabout on Venture.
So state representative been aware of this at all?
I don't think so.
Might behoove us to contact him and see what, if anything can be done.
Do we have a deadline?
I don't think you have to make a decision today, but the road commission will not abandon it and assign it to the adjoining property owners until you have made your decision.
But we don't know if we're holding them up because they're not talking to us
Holding them up for
to continue.
construction?
Yeah.
Oh, they're moving ahead.
They're putting in
They're-
stormwater
yeah.
right now.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're doing site work. I have a feeling the sidewalk probably won't be there through the remainder of this school year. Just the way that it's going across their property. Their parking lots will be done before the sidewalk gets done. Most likely.
So in my mind, I don't think we have enough information to make. This is a pretty big decision in my mind. And it's not just safe routes to school, it's actually, it's a safe route for everyone to get to that other side. And maybe we just need to talk to them. And maybe, I like the idea of having Carl Bonek get involved and
And, you know, that's his job. And I do think that we want to see an increase in foot traffic and bike traffic, transportation in the future, so,
This is a step backwards, for sure.
well, let's make it a step forward.
I just don't see the resources, financial resources being there, or they would have done it.
Well, I'll be the optimist, okay? I think we start and we ask, and while we're at it, let's ask who's gonna take care of that roundabout and who's gonna pay for lighting. Because it's pretty dark.
And what would the public think of this whole thing and us approving that? I mean, it's because of us that they are building this here, and now they're gonna go against a safe road to school kids sidewalk?
Except the Safe Routes to School program approved their alternate plan.
But they're not doing their alternate plan.
They're doing the sidewalk across their property, which they got approval from the program without
Okay.
notifying
let's
any of
just
us.
take our heavy equipment on and see how it holds up.
Well, I'm not opposed to the sidewalk across, but I think they have to be responsible for clearing it. In my mind, it's private property, but I do think there's room to negotiate some things.
I
What
don't
else-
disagree.
What else would we get? What are our options? What would we ask for?
That they be responsible for clearing the property.
Yeah, that's,
And that's all you can ask for, because then it will get you to the other side, that the public has access to cross there. Kind of like what the trails get from the private landowners, in my mind. Right?
do we know that they are saying they're not going to maintain it?
We don't know
Is that right?
anything, right?
Okay,
It's been radio silence.
So, yeah.
so it's a good thing to ask for sure.
And then we'll bring it back to a January meeting, end of January. Is that enough time?
In our February meeting, if we have to.
Yep.
We'll see how long it takes.
So then we're gonna call Carl?
Yeah. That's what I would think.
I can reach out to him.
Okay. Let him know. Good idea.
My fear is that as a township board, if we approve it, if we, release our,
To abandon it.
and abandon it, then are we gonna be on the hook to fix it later?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I don't want to be responsible for infrastructure that's not in the public right of way. And I don't think our attorney would advise us to be.
Right, exactly.
He'd probably say before you even consider it, there needs to be a recorded easement.
That sums it up.
Does the road commission have any thoughts or comments, or they just, it's up to us? Is it,
They need an answer from us,
okay.
and I think they understand what our concern is. I just don't know if we have any real leverage.
But we don't know, like Linda says, unless we ask.
Well, I guess if we don't, we do have leverage then,
Right.
so, yeah.
It might turn into a political nightmare on the front page of the Mining Journal above the fold. Just be aware of that.
But our job is for the residents and the people that are gonna use our roads and use our facilities and our paths and our everything. That's our job.
As long as you're aware of what it could lead to, that's my job, is to
Right.
prepare you for whatever could happen.
Okay. We okay with this? John's hiding again, see, always saying this. Okay, you don't need a motion, you're good with that? Okay.
You didn't take action on the proposed letter, so
It's
it's
just,
pretty easy. I know what I need to do.
it's just informational at this point.
It won't be back on the agenda until we have something new to provide you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
consider addendum 1 on the right-of-way purchase agreement. Thank you for coming, Mitch. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you could just give us an update so the board can make an informed decision.
Yep, so, obviously a little bit of a mess with the closing side. We signed our agreement with Renovare basically the morning of purchase was where we were at with that, for a legal agreement. And so when we went, we're pulling cash from another project because this was not in our original funding plan for the year. So as we did that, we had some hurdles with that lender and that agreement that we have. So we're working through that, and we have most of that cash sitting in our account right now. And we're working with another lender, onboarding them to pull cash from another project to close this by the 31st. They had their board meeting yesterday, and I've just been waiting for an update from him on that. So that's where we're at to get it closed and cross the finish line for you guys.
So, I'm sorry, Lynn.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Do you believe that additional 20-day clause will be needed at this point?
I don't believe so.
So
we have
if the
very
board
small
chose
gap.
to strike that paragraph, would you be comfortable with that?
Yes.
So that gives you a hard date of 12/31/2025.
I mean, I can live with that date, but no longer.
I'll let the attorney speak regarding the language that I was referring to.
The original contract from September, there's language in section 5.6, as you'll recall, and there was extensive discussion about that basically, because the whole purchase agreement is contingent upon financing acceptable to the purchaser. And if financing cannot be procured within that time, there's a section that says, should any of the foregoing conditions, and that would include the financing, benefiting a party have not been satisfied by the closing date, and so long as that party is not in default under this agreement, such party may either terminate the agreement by written notice or extend the closing date by up to 20 business days to allow the other party to satisfy the condition. You talked about that at length the last time, so that's what's being referred to. And by my calculation, I'm not sure whether Martin Luther King Day counts as a business day or not. It depends whose business it is, essentially. But it's going to be right around January 29th or January 30th if that 20-day extension were to remain in there. And the current amendment that you have before you doesn't purport to change section 5.6. It could easily, with about one sentence, and I'd have to come up with the wording, but something along the lines of, shall close not later than December 31, 2025, notwithstanding the provisions of section 5.6 of the original agreement. We might be able to be a little bit more articulate than that, but that would be the concept.
So the fact that it says in 5.1, the amendment, but in no event later than December 31st is not sufficient?
No,
We have to go back
because,
and refer to that.
because that one said, in 5.1, originally said that, had to close by September 2nd. And it didn't, so then you still had that invocation of the 20 extra business days that came into play under 5.6. So is there some internal tension in it from an interpretational standpoint? Perhaps. But the most logical, coherent interpretation is that unless you amend 5.6 or make specific reference to it, that would still apply. You're certainly free to agree among the parties that either would apply or wouldn't apply, but I guess I would recommend that you decide tonight whether it's going to apply or not apply. I'm not making a recommendation one way or the other that you do or you don't, but for clarity, so you don't have an issue after 20 days, 20 business days, that you just address it.
I've sensed the concern about the extensions, going back to before Mitch was even involved. And that's the reason why I wanted to point that particular language out. If you want it to be hard deadline of 12/31/2025, then amend the motion to include the recommended language of the attorney. And Mitch seems comfortable with that, and if it doesn't happen by then we're probably going to be talking about something totally different.
Sounds good to me. So the recommended motion would be what's in the packet, except for the adjunct of what
With the
Roger would like
updated
to add.
language of what Roger would have.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Questions?
Which
Comments?
we all want to see it go.
That makes all of us.
We've been dealing with it longer than you have, and I know you can understand that, and it's kind of, at times gets to be a thorn in our side.
Yep.
And if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be talking about it. So I, for one, am willing to go with this route.
I appreciate it.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Okay, next one is just for your information, really. Didn't really need to be here under an action item, but, or, no, I take that back. The board does have to approve her review. Yeah, pardon me. I did do the review for our assessor, Dulcie Ranta. She received a 4.5 out of 5, and you're welcome to see it if you want to look at it. But it does need to be approved by the board.
I'll make a motion, we approve the assessor's review as per supervisor.
Any questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, the assessor, if you remember, gives us a couple of reports each year, at least 2. And as part of, we kind of got pushed out of the way with the end of the year coming up, but she would like to explain some of the changes that are happening in the assessing field. And she doesn't want to take up a whole board meeting or, because it could be a good 45 minutes or an hour with what's happening in Lansing. So she's asking for a work session, and she'll work around our schedule, knowing that we have people working full-time. So I'm asking what you think.
So what month is she looking at?
Whatever, as soon as possible, so that we don't get too far behind.
That'll be January.
Date changes.
I'm tied up the rest of this year.
Yeah, January's, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So can we do it right before the next board meeting?
Whatever works for you guys.
Well, then-
This is 7th, I think.
In my mind, then,
Come in early.
yeah, it's the same day.
That-
I like that day.
so
Just
you-
come in at
so
4
we're already
o'clock.
here.
Yeah, we'll
4
come in at
o'clock.
4.
At 4 o'clock,
And how's that with your schedule,
that'll work.
working? And Carl, that's okay with you?
I'll make a motion and we schedule a work session for assessing information, January 7th at 4 o'clock.
We're waiting on Andrew.
Andrew's kind of looking at his calendar.
Oh, well, you could always do a Zoom, Andrew. It's a work session, so you can
I know I
always.
can be here by 4:30.
Okay.
I'll try and make it by 4.
Didn't we say 4:30?
4.
We said 4.
Is that 4?
Yeah, 4 probably.
I know was in an hour.
So we've got some time in between
Yeah,
there.
okay.
And we'll tape it, right?
I can put it on Zoom, yeah.
Okay, so 4 o'clock, assessor, work session.
And have actually John come in and record it, so it'll be there too.
It's Wednesday, January 7th.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1, 7, 26. Okay. The next work session is Cindy Dodge, the MTA contract worker. She does work for them, but now she's not an employee anymore. She has her own business. So she'd like to talk about board policies, January 22nd, 26th, or 27th are good days for her. I asked her for afternoon, so that's fine with her, so we can accommodate
What were the options again?
22nd, 26th, and 27th. 22nd is a Thursday, 26th, 27th is Monday and Tuesday.
Any of them work for me.
It's 2 hours.
What time of day are you looking
Afternoon,
at? Is it?
yeah, whatever. Depending
They'll
on
work,
Randy's schedule.
no, afternoons will work, yeah.
Like 2 o'clock then, or
That's fine,
2 to 4?
yeah.
And which day?
22nd's fine for me.
That Thursday?
Yeah.
26th work?
That won't work for me. She didn't have any dates in February?
We can, well, we can do that if you want. She gave me the, I think it was the 2nd and the 5th too, and I figured that was too soon. Maybe I figured wrong.
Oh, of
that's-
January.
Yeah.
January.
Yeah.
Start the year off with a bang.
Do you want to try February? We all need to be here.
Well, did anybody say the 27th?
Yeah, does that work?
So I won't be here the end of January,
Okay. Florida, here we come.
maybe. It's warm in lots of places.
So
Are you out
I'll be here in February though.
22nd's better except for Andrew.
You're out, Andrew, on the 22nd, out of town, or meetings?
I've got meetings till 3, I can do.
3's fine for me, 3 to 5. That works for me. Or 3:30 to 5:30, it doesn't matter to
Anybody
me.
else?
Yeah, that works.
Give you some time to get Andrew to get here.
You get longer to work, Carl. You can work longer in the day.
Yep, that's fine.
3:30 to 5:30 then?
On the 22nd.
22nd.
I'll make a motion that we schedule a work session with Cindy Dodge for talking about board policies on this 22nd of January at 3:30. And it'll be till whenever it's over.
Work.
Okay, questions? I didn't hear from you, John, so I'm assuming that's okay with you. I mean, you're here, but.
If not, I'll adjust my schedule. I think that's an important enough one.
And we'll tape it?
I can tape it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be Zoom, it'll be recorded on the
Okay,
Zoom.
good,
anyway.
just in case.
I'm available.
We need to refer back.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for that. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about John. One of our Johns.
Yeah, so anyway, for that position, not for John, but as you say, the position, as long as I've been here for 20 years, it's been $30 for the first 2 hours and $10 after that. So I'm proposing to up that for a $50, because it is, I mean, I hate to say it, someday John won't be doing it, in the future, but that position needs to be a little bit more compensated, so we have someone in the future that would take time out of their schedule to do that. So I'm proposing $50 for the first 2 hours and $10 additional beyond 2 hours.
I support that too, yeah, it could even pay more.
Yeah, I apologize to
Poor
him for
John.
not thinking about it.
Well, I feel that's an adequate adjustment for that position. For the last 20 years, we haven't upped it, so.
Is it a 10-year contract?
So who moved on that? I
Should
can't
get
remember.
it.
Dan did?
The increase should follow everyone else's increase.
Well, we can do that moving forward, but I want to adjust it right now, just
Okay, just so we know that.
starting January 1, so then we'll follow the 2.5% increase after that, so.
Thank you.
Good idea. Okay, any public comment? Anybody wish?
You gotta vote on that.
Didn't I? I didn't, sorry.
You
All in
didn't.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nope. Didn't remember my own coding. Okay, now public comment. Do we have any? Nope. Okay. Any announcements?
I do have one, or maybe a couple, I guess. We had a clerks meeting last week. It was actually a Christmas party, but meeting too. And the information I'm getting from our person, Kyle Whitley is one of our committee chairs, and he goes to the meetings downstate with the Municipal Clerks League or Association. And sounds like right now in 26 we'll be fine with our current voting machines, but starting in 27, the 10-year contract that we signed in 17 is going to be up in 27. So we're looking at right now, Linda, the county clerk, told us to put away $10,000 for each precinct for new machines starting in 27, because the new machines have to be federally certified. There's new rules coming down in 27, so federally certified machines, and our current machines are fine, they're just not certified by the feds right now, so they are state certified.
And the feds cannot come in and certify them.
Well, they want totally different equipment, so.
So all this goes to the landfill.
Yeah, so the machines we got are gonna end up going somewhere, but, so in 27, and John already sent me the CIP form for that, so you'll see that at the end of next year. So the early voting machines, the county will pick that up for us, because that's not really our baby, it's the county. So we're looking at a $20,000 expenditure in 27 for new machines, so.
So we could take 10 next year and 10.
Well,
27,
we have to, yeah, I
depending
mean,
on,
It'll all be in the
That
2027 budget and the CIP for election equipment.
yeah, so I told folks, I can absorb that, but I'm feeling kind of sorry for some of these small townships that might have to, and we don't know right now, we're gonna work on the legislators to see if they can fund some of that. Right now, they've taken funds away from us. So we'll see in 27 if the lobbyist, we can get them to give us some money for the state, but so I'm just letting you know that could be a pretty big expenditure in 27 moving forward, so let you folks know right now, so I don't hit you next year. Say I need 20 grand for new machines,
okay,
so that's all I have.
that's all you said, maybe 2.
Yeah,
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Manager.
I don't have a lot to add, other than I do want to elaborate a little bit on something that the clerk said, and that is that the township's not getting more money, we're getting less money from the state. There seems to be an impression out there, at least amongst some of the public, that this new road bill that was passed sends a bunch of road money to the townships. We don't own any roads, we just have the pleasure of paying to maintain them, the local roads in particular, right? So the public needs to know, a result of that bill was the township receiving $10,000 less next year than we should have gotten. It's not a lot, we'll manage it, but we're not seeing this big influx of road money to fix the roads. Our general fund is still subsidizing our road millage just to pay the debt on the project that was done long before I came and before some of you were on this board. So just wanted to make that clear. In fact, the road commission doesn't even know how much money they're actually going to get yet, and they may not see any of it until 2027. I think this was just some really rushed legislation in Lansing, and now we get to wait and see if anything fruitful actually comes from it. And after they take the chunk off for the airport in Detroit and transit and everything else, because they always have these special pockets that get included, right? We'll see. I'm not holding my breath that we're going to see anything productive on roads in the township in the near future as a result of this new legislation for road funding. Not to mention the marijuana excise tax, the new 24%, that's being contested in court. I'm not sure that the industry thinks it can support that much more taxing. I don't know. It's not my problem to worry about. That's way above my head, but just want everyone to be aware of that. The only other thing is I will be out of the office most of or all of next week, depending on what I do Monday morning. So be aware of that, but I will have my cell phone with me. It's my 24/7 tether, so if anything emergency comes up, have my cell phone number handy.
Follow up on the road, and that's one of the reasons I put that whole presentation in the packet, because it was so comprehensive. There's no way I could have abbreviated it or, tried to give you a synopsis. But according to their chief financial officer at the road commission, she attended either a work session or a video or something on Zoom, I'm not sure, maybe the actual meeting. But the way they set that fund up is that there's an account number set up for that pot of money, and there's nothing in it. So they have no idea where the money's coming from to fund that. So they're not really expecting anything. They're not expecting any money, but we'll see. Any questions for John? Okay. Mr. Clerk, if you motions?
Okay, the consent agenda was approved. The second motion was the regular agenda approved as presented. Third motion was to approve the Fishbeck proposal, and that was approved. The fourth motion was to approve the financial audit services, that was approved. The right of first priority was just informational, that'll come back at a later date. The fifth motion was to consider addendum 1 to the purchase agreement as per the legal recommendation, and that was approved with the written thing of removing that paragraph and then just making a hard closing date of the end of the year, right?
Actually, as I've been sitting here, we aren't going to remove anything at the end of the first paragraph 1. I've taken the liberty of coming up with workable language that would be added, and to just read it into the record, it will say, "This closing date shall not be subject to the additional 20 business day extension previously set forth in section 5.6 of the purchase and sale agreement hereby being amended."
So that motion is approved with the added language from the attorney, and that was approved. The sixth motion was to approve the annual review of Assessor Dulcie Ranta. That was approved per the supervisor recommendation. Seventh motion was to approve work session with Assessor Ranta on January 7th at 4 p.m. That was approved. The eighth motion was to approve a Zoom meeting with Cindy Dodge on board policies on the 22nd of January at 3:30. That was approved. And the ninth motion was to approve the wage adjustment for the camera operator, and that was approved.
Lots of good business. Okay, future agenda, I mentioned that Glenn Johnson will come and talk about the township part of the Heritage Trail. I'll have committee appointment recommendations for you, and we need to talk about manager's goals and township priorities. So I'm guessing that's
That might be a work session item because I don't want to
Yeah, I
take,
said meeting, I'm sorry.
I don't want to take board
Yeah.
meeting
it's gonna-
time for
It'll
that.
take some time, so I'll put that on the next agenda and we can see what our schedules look like, because we'll have two meetings coming up anyway, 2 work sessions. That's a lot.
And we were hoping that the master plan at least would get to the board to review and use that as a tool to look at our goals. Otherwise, we're making up goals without
Yeah.
public input, and we are here for the public. So, yeah, so it might be a little later.
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't want to lose track of it. So our next meeting's not for 3 weeks. January 7th. Yeah, 2026. Any other comments?
I have a couple things.
Sure.
I want to thank John Leighton for helping get that ice rink up and going, because I know he's been there. And I also want to thank the township staff for helping us do the United Way
Giving
project, Giving Tree. That wouldn't have happened without the staff doing it. Even though it was a great idea that we had. We have ideas, they have the work. And also, I want to remind people that if you're interested in having a better understanding of what went on at the Planning Commission discussion regarding the wetlands, please listen to the video, because it's much more than just really what was presented here. It's a good thing to listen to, so I would encourage you to do that. And the last item is that the township annual meeting is in Traverse City this year, and it is April 20th through the 23rd. And yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay.
And I will just share that if you want a room where the event takes place, we're gonna have to book them the day it opens. And it is very hard in Traverse City to not be on site. We've already had done that one time, and that was not very convenient. So I'm guessing we'll get some information within the next week or
I'm
two.
not volunteering to be the chauffeur.
That was so great, John. That was so helpful.
Yeah, we had a chauffeur last year too, wasn't so
Maybe
great.
maybe Dan will still have crutches by then.
So just know
I hope not.
it's April 20th through the 23rd, and I did read Traverse City, I think I'm correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and then an additional comment to yours, Linda, is usually they'll have the UP Summit this year too. They have it every 2 years. So if you can't make it to the annual meeting, maybe you can do the summit that's at the Island Resort Casino in sometime in August. And that's usually a 2-dayer, and it's pretty good. It's a compact thing.
And my hope is that at these meetings, either one of them, both of them, that we hear some information about this road funding. Yeah, because,
Well, maybe
Big
that's
issue.
it's a big issue.
such a good reason to bring Carl in here and have a conversation with him too, and find out. We're shooting blind here, and we don't know
We are.
what's going on.
So that's all I've done. Thank you.
That's all.
That's all. You're good, Dan.
No, it's good stuff. Anything else?
I just have one other thing to say.
All right.
I move that we adjourn.
It's part.
Is that for the year?
That's for the year.
For the year.
Yes. Good comment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.